Hello all and welcome back to my channel. My name is Pandey and thank you very much for watching my other videos. I am hoping that my videos are adding some values in your day-to-day Intune operation work. Please consider subscribing my channel. By subscribing, you will get access to new videos as soon as they are uploaded, and it's a great way to stay up to date with my content and support me at the same time. So with this video, I aim to assist my friends who are interested in pursuing a career in Intune but are unsure of how to prepare for an interview and understand the scope of Intune interview questions. So frankly speaking, I have received numerous requests from various social media platforms regarding Intune interview questions. Therefore, I decided to create this video and assist my fellow aspiring professionals so they know what to expect in interview and how to prepare for an Intune interview. So in this video, we will first discuss about the key technology used in Microsoft Intune so that you can begin preparing for them alongside your Intune specific knowledge for interview. Then we will discuss about the Intune job grade as well as the skill required for the particular job grades. Then we will discuss the different types of questions that may be asked in an interview and the purpose and or objective behind each type of questions. And I am also going to provide some of the examples in that context. Then we will discuss about the scope of preparation for an Intune interview. And after that, we will discuss about the importance of reviewing the job description in order to anticipate the potential interview questions. And lastly, I will provide tips and tricks that will helpful in your Intune interview preparation. A small request: if you have gone through an Intune interview or are currently preparing for one, please share the questions that were asked in interview in the comment section. So this way you will be able to help others who are preparing for the same interview. So before we begin, if you have not already subscribed my channel, please consider subscribing my channel and enable the bell notification so that you do not miss any of my video. I put a lot of efforts in creating content that can help you in your preparation for interview and daily activities. Thank you for considering my request. Now let's take a look at the key technology used in Intune. So along with preparing for questions especially related to MDM and MAM in Intune, which I will be discussing in details in the next slide, it's important to have a knowledge of other technologies that are directly or indirectly related to Intune. These technology includes on-premises Active Directory as well as the Azure Active Directory, Microsoft 365 covering licensing, multi-factor authentication and conditional access. We should have a good knowledge on Microsoft Graph Explorer and APIs. Then for reporting purpose, we should have a good knowledge on Power BI as well as the Power Automate. And to simplify the day-to-day activity and automate the process, we should have a good knowledge on Windows PowerShell. And last, we should have a good knowledge on Log Analytics and Azure Monitor. So if you are not aware of these terminologies, I sincerely request you to please start exploring these technologies as well as should have a basic knowledge on these technologies so that you can perform your day-to-day operation in Intune in a smoother way. So in any Intune interview, you can expect 10 to 15% of question from these technologies. And if you are attempting L3 or SME level interview, then the in-depth knowledge of these technologies is mandatory, and you can expect at least 40% of questions from these technologies, because in that case your major role and responsibility is related to automation and process improvement. Now let's discuss about the job grade and skill required for Microsoft Intune. So there are four main job roles or grades available in Intune for operation work, and we call it as a business as usual work. So these roles are Intune L1 role, Intune L2 role, Intune L3 role, as well as the SME. So SME stands for subject matter expert. So each organization may have different designations for these roles, but the operational work is generally similar. The main difference lies in the process and terminology used in day-to-day work. Therefore, when preparing for an Intune interview, it is important to know the specific skill required for these roles. So each role is associated with specific set of responsibilities, and company will be looking for candidate with appropriate skills. For an example, Intune L1 and L2 roles are primarily responsible for BAU tasks such as operational work, deployment related troubleshootings, reporting, and change and incidents management. L3 and SMEs are responsible for handling BAU escalations, process improvement, any kind of new implementation, day-to-day work, process automation, as well as handling the project related work. So the question asked in an interview may cover a similar range of topics, but the level of difficulties and type of questions can vary depending on the role being interviewed for. Higher level roles like L3 or SME typically required more responsibilities, so the interviewer must ask more in-depth technical, scenario based and experience based question to assess your suitability for the role. Now let's talk about the different types of questions that may be asked in an interview and the purpose or objective behind each types. Understanding the objective of question will help you to adjust your answer accordingly. Now the very first type of question in an interview is a kind of open-ended question. So an open-ended question is a question that cannot be answered with a yes or no response or with a static response. Open-ended questions are phrased as a statement which requires a longer response. For an example, they might ask a question like how many ways you can enroll the device in Intune, or they might ask question about benefits of autopilot in modern device management. So these are the open-ended question and you cannot answer in yes or no or in a one or two line. You have to explain the answer in length. That is why the objective of these types of question is to get more detailed in-depth answer, get a better understanding of your thought, opinions and experience. So open-ended questions are also used to build a connect and create a more conversational atmosphere and useful for getting you to think critically and to provide more insights into their perspective. So the next type of question is the closed-ended question. So the closed-ended questions are defined as a question type that asks respondent to choose from a distinct set of predefined responses. For an example, they might ask you a question about the prerequisite to implement Windows Autopilot. So they might also ask a question like, can we deploy application without creating security group? So the objective of this type of question is to get a simple yes or no response or a specific piece of information. Like in case of prerequisites to implement Windows Autopilot, we just need to tell him what are the prerequisites to implement the Windows Autopilot. And in second question, we can simply say that yes, we can deploy it or we cannot deploy it. So the objective of these close-ended question is also useful for gathering the specific and factual information and can help the interviewer to quickly and effectively gather the information they need. Now the next type of question is a scenario based question. So these are the situations or scenario that the interviewer will provide to you to see how you would respond to that situation. This allows you to provide a hypothetical response even if you do not have experience in that field. For an example, they might give you scenario like we have an environment of 300 devices and all are home-based users and we want to upgrade Windows from 10 to 11. What is your approach and what all you must plan to achieve these tasks? A second question could be, can you give an example of a complex problem that you had to solve using Microsoft Intune and how you approached it? So the objective of these types of question is by giving a hypothetical or real situation, person can judge how often would you handle it. They can also evaluate the person problem solving skills and their ability to think on their feet. This is also useful to evaluate how the person would handle real life situation or challenges that might arise in the job. So the next objective could be used to access the person communication skill, as they may be asked to explain their thought process and reasoning. Now the next type of question is a process related question. These are the process or standard operating procedures you are following in your day-to-day operation to achieve a specific task. For an example, interviewer might ask a question like, what is the process you are following to deploy an application in Intune? What is your service level agreement for application deployment or patch deployment? What is your change management process to deploy an application in production environment? So the objective of asking process related question is to assess the knowledge and understanding of a specific process and procedure. These type of question can also be used to compare the difference between the process you are following and the process followed by the company. Now the next type of question could be related to recent updates or improvement in Intune. So this will help us to understand whether you are aware of recent updates and improvement in Intune environment. For an example, they might ask you a question about Windows auto patch, multi-admin approvals, or Windows 11 organization message, what is in preview as well as in journal available. So these are the some of the recent improvement or features available in Intune. So if you know these things, meaning that you are updated with the recent information. And the objective of these type of question is to evaluate the person's knowledge of the latest development and updates in the Intune field. This will help us to understand the person's level of expertise and their ability to stay current in their field. This will also help us to give the interviewer insight into the person's interest and passion for their work. Now the next type of question could be the troubleshooting related question. So troubleshooting related questions are the questions with problem statement and how you are doing troubleshooting in that scenario. For an example, they might ask a question like, user is not able to perform an autopilot, what you are going to do, how you are going to troubleshoot it. You deployed an application but the application is not visible in company portal, or latest feature upgrade failed to install on multiple devices, how you are going to fix that problem. The objective of these type of question is designed to evaluate the person problem solving skills and their ability to identify and resolve the issues. This will also help us to assess the person technical knowledge and their ability to apply that knowledge in a practical settings. This will also help us to understand the person approach to funnel down the problems by asking relevant questions and their ability to think critical. And last, this will also help us to know whether the candidate is aware of the backend flow of the technology or not. And the last type of question could be related to automation. These type of automation related question is to know what all automation you have implemented in your environment, or how you are using that automation to reduce the manual effort. For an example, interviewer might ask a question how you are automating your Intune reports, how you are fixing any known issue automatically, or what all proactive remediation you are using in your environment. So the objective of asking these type of question is to evaluate the person knowledge of automation capabilities. This will help us to understand that the person level of expertise and their ability to use automation to streamline and improve the process. And last, this will help us to know so far your automation experience with Intune. Now let's quickly check the Intune interview question topic. So these are the broader topics or scope from where interviewer is going to ask the question in interview. And these topics are Intune infrastructure setup and implementation, device management, user management, Azure Active Directory group management, application management, patch management, profile and policy management, autopilot management, process or SOP management. SOP stands for standard operating procedure. Then next one is the Intune automation or report management or log analytics or the KQL queries. Then the next topic is around the troubleshooting management. Then we have a co-management, which is a SCCM feature, and then the scenario based question and your experience and problem, like recent problem you are facing or faced. So within Intune infrastructure setup and implementation, interviewer might ask a question how you can implement the Intune infrastructure, what are the prerequisites to implement the Intune infrastructure, what are the licensing requirements, and what are the scenarios in which you can use Intune. With respect to device management, they might ask a question how you are enrolling a device in Intune, what are the processes you are using to enroll a device in Intune, what is the prerequisite to enroll a device in Intune, how many ways you can enroll a device in Intune. In user management, they might ask a question how you are assigning a license to the user, how you are onboarding a user in Azure Active Directory, what all permission or what all scope you need to enable so that user can enroll a device in Azure Active Directory. With respect to Azure Active Directory group management, they might ask a question how many ways you can create a group, what is dynamic group, what is static group. They might ask a question like how you can create a group with bulk import method. In case of application management, they might ask a question what is the process you are following to deploy an application in your environment, what are the processes you are following for reporting purpose, how you are troubleshooting an application related issue, which type of application you are deploying in environment, what is the process of creating Win32 application, what is the process of deploying LOB application, or what is the process of deploying Microsoft Store for Business application. In case of patch management, they might ask a question about the end-to-end process of patch management, or they might ask a question about what is the difference between SCCM patching versus Intune patching, or what is the recent improvement in patch management. Like they might ask a question around Windows Auto Patch, what is the prerequisite to deploy an expedite update, what is the prerequisite to deploy the feature upgrade, what is the prerequisite to implement the update in Intune environment. They might also ask the question out around the backend process flow of patch management, how the expedite update is working in backend, how the feature upgrade is working in backend. So there are n number of questions with respect to patch management, and this is the main topic in every interview, because in any organization there might be possibility that organization is not using application deployment on frequently basis, but in every organization patch management is must. Now the next question is related to profile and policy management. Again, the same questions like how you are creating a profile, what all basic profiles you are creating, how you are reporting the policy deployments, what all policies you are deploying, how you are troubleshooting the policies deployment, what is the backend process flow, what are the logs you can check when there is an issue in the policy deployment. Then coming to the next, autopilot management, they might ask a question around what is the prerequisite to implement the Windows autopilot, how many ways we can perform a Windows autopilot, what is the difference between Azure Ready Join Windows autopilot versus hybrid Azure Ready Join Windows autopilot. They might also ask a question about the prerequisites in case of hybrid Azure Ready Join and autopilot, what is the domain join profile, what is ODJ connector. They might ask the question around Windows autopilot troubleshooting, what all logs you can check, how you can export the logs for troubleshooting the Windows autopilot. Then coming to the next topic, which is a process or SOP management. In this, they might ask a question about the what are the process you are following to deploy an application, what are the process you are following to manage the patch in your environment. Then what is your change management process, what is your incidents management process, what is your day-to-day activity. And the next topic is around the automation. So if you are going for L3 or SME level interview, then You must expect a question around Intune automation, report management, and log analytics and KQL queries. Now the next question topic is around the troubleshooting management. You are doing a troubleshooting for application deployment, how you are doing a troubleshooting for patch deployment, what are the troubleshooting steps you are using for to fix the policy or profile related issues, what are the troubleshooting steps you are using to fix the autopilot deployment related issues. And then next topic is around the co-management. If you are using SCCM with Intune, then they might ask the question around the co-management. In that case, they might ask how you can implement a co-management, what is the prerequisites of co-management, what all workloads are there in the co-management, which workload you are using from SCCM, which workload you shifted on Intune, what is the advantage of using co-management versus standalone SCCM or standalone Intune. Then the next is the scenario based question, where interviewer is providing you some scenarios and you have to give the answers based on the scenarios. Last one is related to the experience and problem solving skills, like what all recent problem you have faced during day-to-day activity and how you solve those problems. So we have discussed the type of Intune job roles and responsibility associated with each role. But how do you know which job role a company is looking to fill in order to plan your preparation accordingly? So the simple answer is by reviewing the job description. When a company publishes a vacancy, they provide a job description outlining the skills and qualification they are looking for in a candidate. So by reading the job description, you can get a fair idea of the skills required and determine if they match your own skills, so that you can consider applying for the job. So the job description provides information about the responsibilities and duties of the role and helps the candidate understand what is expected to them in the position. Reading the job description can help you decide whether or not to apply for job at this time, because some companies may not allow candidates who have previously interviewed but were not selected to interview again within a certain time frame. Reading the job description before the interview can help the candidate adjust their answers and examples to better match what the company is looking for in the role. The job description can also help the candidate identifying areas where they may need to prepare more and highlights specific skills or experience that are particularly relevant to the position. The job description can give the candidate insight into the company culture and values, which can be helpful in determining if the role is a good fit. And last, the job description can also provide information about the qualification and experience required for the role, which can help the candidate to understand what they need to do to be competitive in the hiring process. Now let's see some of the useful tips for your Intune interview preparation. So the very first tip is to familiarize yourself with the basics of Microsoft Intune and its key features and capabilities. If you are new, fresher to Microsoft Intune, consider building your own labs and performing testing in your own labs to gain a deeper understanding and build confidence. Develop a habit of noting down and reviewing common interview questions so that you can review or revisit them before the next interview. Joining online communities and subscribing to their newsletters can help you to stay up to date on the latest update and improvement in the field. Before the interview, try to understand the job requirement and expectation. This will help you to anticipate the type of questions the interviewer may ask and allow you to plan your preparation accordingly. Avoid mentioning unfamiliar terminologies or work experience that you have not had in your resume. During the interview, try not to assume that you know the answer to a question and simply give an answer. Instead, explain your understanding of the question and then provide an answer based on your knowledge. During the interview, avoid using unfamiliar technologies The interviewer may ask you to explain the term, and it is best to avoid using terms that you are not familiar with. Avoid giving unrealistic or unreasonable answers, as this can make you appear untrustworthy. If you do not know the answers to a question, it is okay to admit it and offer to provide an answer based on your knowledge. Be familiar with the latest update and improvements to Microsoft Intune and be able to discuss their impact on the field. Practice answering common interview questions, including both open-ended and closed-ended questions. Here are the few self-motivating lines for you to encourage you during your Intune interview preparation. And from my side, best of luck for your upcoming interview and a bright future ahead. I hope this is an informative video for you. Thank you very much for watching this video.